Rachel Hayes stood at the main window of Sentinel-7, watching Earth spin slowly below. The blue-green planet looked peaceful from up here, but she knew better. Even now, in 2157, humans kept preparing for war, not against each other anymore, but against whatever might come from the stars. "Commander Hayes," a voice called from behind her. "The shield test is ready to begin." She turned around, her gray uniform catching the light from Earth. "Thank you, Lieutenant Morris. Let's not keep my brother waiting." Down on the planet's surface, Thomas Hayes adjusted his glasses and looked up at the tiny dot of Sentinel-7 moving across the morning sky. His team at the Quantum Physics Institute had worked for 3 years on this new shield technology. Today would prove if it was worth all that time. "All systems are ready, Dr. Hayes," said Emma Carter, his lead assistant. She stood by the main computer, her fingers moving quickly over the control panel. "Your sister's station is in position." Thomas nodded, trying to hide his nervousness. "Start the countdown." In space, Rachel watched the shield bubble form around her station. It looked like soap bubbles in sunlight, but these shields could stop almost anything. Almost. That's why they needed Thomas's new design. "Shield strength at 100%, Frank Morris reported. "Ready for the test shot." Rachel took a deep breath. "Fire when ready." A beam of energy shot out from a nearby test platform. It hit the shield, making it glow bright blue. Numbers flashed across the screens as computers measured everything about the impact. Thomas leaned forward in his chair, watching the data flow in. Something was different this time. The shield wasn't just blocking the energy. It was doing something else. "Look at these readings," Emma said, pointing to her screen. "The quantum field is changing. I've never seen anything like it." Rachel felt it before she saw it. A strange tingling in her head, like static electricity. The shield around the station began to pulse with new colors. "Commander," Frank called out. "The shield, it's getting stronger." "But that's impossible." Thomas stared at his readings in surprise. "The shield is drawing power from somewhere else." "But where?" He typed quickly, trying to find the answer. Then he saw it. The human crew. It's responding to their brain patterns. Rachel watched as the test beam became weaker and weaker against their shield. Finally, it faded away completely. For a moment, everyone was quiet. "Tom," Rachel called her brother on the video link. "What just happened?" Thomas ran his hands through his messy hair, something he always did when excited. "I think we just discovered something huge, Rach. The quantum fields in the shield, they're interacting with human consciousness. Somehow, our brains are making the shield stronger." "Is that even possible?" Rachel asked. "It shouldn't be," Thomas replied. "But look at the data. The closer humans are to the shield generators, the stronger they become. We're not just making better shields. We're finding out that humans can affect quantum energy in ways we never knew." Rachel looked out at Earth again. This changed everything. Humanity had been preparing for threats from space, but they never expected to find out they themselves might be the best defense. "Dr. Hayes," Emma called out, her voice shaking a little. "Long-range sensors are picking up something entering the solar system. Multiple objects, moving fast." Thomas felt his heart skip a beat. "How many?" "Hundreds," Emma whispered. "And they're not natural objects." Up in Sentinel-7, Rachel was already moving into action. "Sound the alert. Get me a direct line to Earth Defense Command." She paused, looking at her brother's image on the screen. "Tom, I think we're about to find out if your discovery works against more than just test beams." As alarm signals began to sound across Earth's defense network, neither Hayes sibling knew just how important their accidental discovery would become. Their world was about to change forever, and humanity's hidden power was about to be tested against an enemy they never knew existed. In the depths of space, the lights of approaching ships grew brighter. The calm was ending. The storm was about to begin. The ships appeared first as bright dots against the black of space. Rachel Hayes watched from Sentinel-7's command center as they grew closer. Earth's entire defense fleet was on high alert, but no one fired. Not yet. Incoming transmission, Frank Morris announced, his fingers steady despite the tension. It's being broadcast on all frequencies. Rachel straightened her uniform. Put it through. The main screen lit up with a strange sight. The beam looked almost like flowing mercury, its silver surface constantly moving. When it spoke, its voice came through in perfect English, but its mouth didn't move. "We are the Dominion," it said. "We bring order to chaos. We guide evolution. We are your future." Thomas watched the same transmission from his lab on Earth, standing beside Emma Carter. His discovery about human consciousness affecting shields had been pushed aside by this new crisis. "Your species has reached a critical point," the Dominion speaker continued. "You require guidance. Submit to our wisdom, and we will lead you to greatness." Rachel felt a chill run down her spine. "This is Commander Rachel Hayes of Earth's Terran Defense Coalition. We appreciate your offer, but Earth is not looking for outside guidance. We choose our own path." The liquid silver being seemed to ripple. "Choice is an illusion for lesser species. We have guided countless civilizations to perfection. Resistance brings only pain." Suddenly, alarms blared through Sentinel-7. Rachel watched in horror as systems began shutting down one by one. "They're not even firing at us," Frank said, checking his screens. "They're just turning everything off." In his lab, Thomas noticed something odd about the power readings. "Emma, look at this. The way they're shutting down our systems, it's similar to how our quantum shields work." Rachel gripped her command chair as the station's artificial gravity flickered. "Tom, talk to me. What are we dealing with?" "Their technology," Thomas explained quickly. "It's like they're reaching into the quantum field and just switching things off. But remember what we discovered about human consciousness affecting quantum fields. How does that help us now?" Rachel asked as another system went dark. "The systems closest to the crew," Thomas said, looking at his data. "They're taking longer to shut down. The human presence is fighting back, even if we don't know we're doing it." The Dominion speaker interrupted their discussion. "Your primitive defenses cannot resist us. But we sense something unexpected, something that must be contained." Rachel noticed it too. While most systems were down, the shields closest to the crew areas were still flickering with power, pushing back against the Dominion's control. "All ships, full retreat," Rachel ordered. "Fall back to Earth orbit. Tom, get that data to every research center you can. We need to understand what's happening." The Dominion ships made no move to stop Earth's forces from retreating. The silver being spoke one last time before the transmission cut off. "You have one Earth day to submit. After that, we will begin your reformation. Resistance will only increase the pain of your evolution." In the hours that followed, Thomas worked frantically with his team. "Look at these readings," he told Emma, pointing to his screens. "Every time they tried to shut down a system, if there were enough humans nearby, it fought back. We're naturally resistant to their quantum technology." "Is that why they're really here?" Emma wondered. "Not to guide us, but to stop us." Rachel, now in an emergency meeting with Earth's Defense Council, had the same thought. "They're not here to help us evolve," she said to the gathered leaders. "They're here because they're afraid of what we might become." Thomas's voice came through on the council room speakers. "The Dominion's power comes from their mastery of quantum fields, but humans can naturally affect those same fields. Given time, we might even become stronger than them." "Then we have no choice," Rachel said, looking at the council members. "We fight against that level of technology." Someone asked. "How?" Rachel stood up. "The same way humanity has always fought, together. My brother's discovery proves we have power we never knew about. We just need to learn how to use it. As the council debated, the Dominion ships hung in space like silver stars. In less than 24 hours, they would return. Earth's first contact with alien life had become a countdown to war. In Sentinel-7's remains, now running on emergency power, Rachel looked down at her home planet. Soon, those silver ships would come back, expecting an easy victory. But they had made a mistake. They had revealed their fear of humanity's potential. And if there was one thing humans did well, it was proving their enemies right to fear them. The Dominion returned exactly when they promised. This time, they brought their army. Thousands of ships filled Earth's skies, each one carrying soldiers from races the Dominion had already conquered. Rachel Hayes watched from the damaged Sentinel-7 as the first attacks began. The station's few working screens showed cities around the world lighting up with explosions. "They're targeting our defense centers first," Frank Morris reported, his voice tight with anger. "London is gone. Beijing too. Tokyo just went dark." "Get me through to Thomas," Rachel ordered, gripping her chair as the station shook. Another explosion lit up the earth below. In his underground lab, Thomas Hayes was rushing to save his research data. Emma Carter helped him load everything onto portable drives, while the building above them trembled. "Rachel," Thomas answered when his sister's call came through. "Are you seeing this? Their ships, they're not just using quantum fields to shut things down anymore. They're using them as weapons." "I'm seeing it," Rachel said grimly. She watched as a Dominion ship pointed at New York. A wave of silver energy rolled out, and every electronic device in the city died instantly. Cars stopped. Planes fell. Hospitals went dark. "We need to evacuate," Rachel decided. "Frank, send the order. Get everyone to the underground bunkers. Now." The evacuation began, but it was already too late for many. The Dominion's army poured from their ships. Tall, gray-skinned aliens with 4 arms, short, scaly creatures that moved like lightning, and floating beings that seemed made of pure energy. Thomas and Emma reached the main bunker under the Rocky Mountains just as another wave of attacks hit. Inside, hundreds of screens showed the world falling apart. Dr. Hayes, David Wells, the bunker administrator, rushed up to them. "We've got thousands of refugees coming in, but we're seeing something strange. Some of our equipment keeps working even when the Dominion tries to shut it down, but only in certain areas." Thomas grabbed a tablet, checking the readings. "It's happening again. Look, wherever we have more people gathered, our systems resist their attacks better. We're naturally fighting back, even now." Above ground, Rachel coordinated the evacuation from her crippled station. "Get those shuttles moving. Head for the underground bases. If you can't make it to a bunker, find caves, tunnels, anywhere deep." "Commander," Frank called out suddenly, "look at the Dominion ships near Australia." Rachel turned to watch. A group of human survivors had gathered in Sydney's underground train tunnels. When a Dominion ship tried to shut down their power, the lights flickered but stayed on. The more people gathered, the stronger their resistance became. "Tom," Rachel called her brother, "are you seeing this? The bigger groups of humans are actually pushing back." "It's not enough yet," Thomas said, watching more cities fall. "But it proves what we thought. Humans working together can resist their quantum technology. We just need to find a way to make it stronger." A new voice broke into their conversation. Laura Bennett, the medical officer who had joined them in the bunker. "Dr. Hayes, I've been studying the brain scans of people near working equipment. Their brainwaves, they're synchronizing somehow, like they're unconsciously working together." The bunker shook as a Dominion ship passed overhead. On the screens, they watched as Paris disappeared under a silver wave of energy. Then Rome. Then Cairo. "We're losing," Rachel said quietly. "But we're not lost. Tom, you need to study those brain patterns. Figure out why some groups resist better than others. The Dominion thinks they're here to guide our evolution. Let's show them we can evolve just fine on our own." As the day turned to night, humanity retreated underground. Cities lay dark and empty above them. Dominion ships patrolled the skies, their conquered armies walking the streets. But in bunkers and caves around the world, humans gathered together. And wherever they gathered in large enough numbers, their technology kept working, defying the Dominion's power. Thomas looked at his latest readings, then at the crowds of survivors filling the bunker. "They thought they were coming to guide us," he said to Emma. "But really, they came to stop us from discovering our own power. And they're already too late." Rachel's voice came through one last time before the station's power finally died. "Remember this day. Remember how far they made us fall. Because when we rise again, we're bringing the storm with us." The fall of Earth was complete, but in the darkness underground, humanity's hidden power was growing stronger. The real war was just beginning. 6 months after the fall of Earth, the Rocky Mountain bunker had become a small underground city. Thomas Hayes barely noticed the artificial lighting anymore as he worked in his lab, surrounded by computers and strange devices. "Another test ready," Emma Carter announced, adjusting sensors on a volunteer's head. "This is test subject 247, showing strong resistance to quantum interference." Thomas looked up from his work. The volunteer was a young soldier named Jack Rogers, who had survived the fall of Denver. Like many others, they had discovered he could keep electronic devices working even when the Dominion tried to shut them down. "Okay, Jack," Thomas said. "Just relax and focus on the light bulb like before." Above them, a single light bulb hung from the ceiling. In the next room, they had a captured piece of Dominion technology that could turn off electrical devices. As it activated, the light bulb flickered but didn't go out. Jack's face tensed with concentration. "Look at these readings." Emma pointed to her screen. "His brainwaves are actually pushing back against the quantum field." In another part of the bunker, Rachel Hayes studied maps showing survivor bases around the world. Frank Morris stood beside her, pointing at different locations. "We've got about 50 major bunkers now," Frank reported, each one housing thousands. "The Dominion patrols still can't detect us this deep underground." Rachel nodded. "And the resistance reports. Getting stronger. When we gather enough people together, we can keep our equipment working." Some groups are even starting to push the Dominion's influence back, creating safe zones where our technology works normally. Laura Bennett, the medical officer, rushed into the command room. "Commander Hayes, you need to see this. We've made a breakthrough." In the medical lab, Laura showed them brain scans of different survivors. "See these patterns. When people work together to resist the Dominion's technology, their brainwaves sync up. But some people, like Jack Rogers, can do it naturally. We're calling them storm callers." Thomas joined them, carrying his latest research data. "It's more than that," he said, spreading papers on the table. "Humans have a natural quantum field around their brains. The Dominion uses artificial fields to control technology. When enough humans work together, or when a storm caller focuses hard enough, we can overpower their control. That's why they attacked us," Rachel realized. "They saw our potential. They knew that once we discovered this ability, we could threaten their power over other worlds." David Wells, the bunker administrator, entered with more news. "The farming sections are working at full power now. We've got 30 storm callers keeping the systems running. But there's something else. Some of the younger people are getting stronger at it, like they're learning." Thomas wasn't surprised. "We're adapting, evolving, just like they feared we would. Every day, more people show storm caller abilities, and those who already have it are getting stronger." In his lab, Jack finished another test. The light bulb now glowed steadily, completely resistant to the Dominion's technology. "It's getting easier," he told them. "Like building a muscle." Rachel watched the young soldier with hope. "How many storm callers do we have now?" "Over 1,000 identified so far," Laura answered. "And that's just in our allied bunkers. There could be more out there." Frank checked his communications panel. "Speaking of others, we're getting reports from resistance cells in Europe and Asia. They're finding storm callers too. and some of them are strong enough to actually disable Dominion devices. Thomas turned to his sister. Rachel, we're ready for the next step. We need to start training Stormcallers actively. Teach them to use their abilities together. If we can organize them, we can take back our world. Rachel finished. She looked at the maps again, seeing not just hiding places now, but potential staging areas for a counterattack. Gather the other bunker leaders, she ordered. Tell them to start testing everyone for Stormcaller abilities, and get me designs for portable devices to help focus their power. As the others left to carry out her orders, Rachel stayed looking at the maps. Above them, the Dominion thought they had won. They thought humanity was broken, hiding in holes in the ground. They were wrong. Humanity wasn't hiding. They were preparing, growing stronger, learning to use the very power the Dominion had feared they would discover. 6 months, Rachel said quietly. They gave us 6 months to get stronger underground. That was their biggest mistake. In his lab, Thomas watched as Jack made another light bulb glow, brighter than ever. The storm was growing. Soon, it would be ready to break. Thomas Hayes hadn't slept in 2 days. Empty coffee cups littered his lab desk as he stared at test results from hundreds of Stormcallers. Emma Carter worked nearby, helping him sort through the data. Look at this pattern again, Thomas said, pointing to a brain scan. Every time a Stormcaller affects Dominion technology, their brain creates this same wave pattern. And it's getting stronger, Emma added. She pulled up Jack Rogers' latest test results. His quantum field is 10 times stronger than when we first found him. Suddenly, their computers started beeping with new data. Laura Bennett rushed into the lab, carrying more brain scans. Dr. Hayes, we found something huge. In the training room nearby, Jack stood with 5 other Stormcallers. They weren't just keeping equipment running anymore. They had just completely destroyed a piece of Dominion technology. Show me everything, Thomas demanded, spreading the new scans across his desk. We were testing group effects, Laura explained. When Stormcallers work together, they don't just add their power, they multiply it. And look at this. She pointed to a specific pattern. Their brain waves sync perfectly, like they're becoming one bigger quantum field. Rachel Hayes arrived just as they made this discovery. Talk to me, Tom. What did you find? Thomas could barely contain his excitement. We've been thinking too small, Ratch. We've been training Stormcallers to resist Dominion technology. But they can do more than resist. They can destroy it. He pulled up a video from the training room. 6 Stormcallers stood in a circle around a Dominion shield generator. As they focused together, the generator didn't just shut down, it fell apart. How is this possible? Frank Morris asked, watching the video. The Dominion uses artificial quantum fields, Thomas explained, but human brains create natural ones. When enough Stormcallers work together, their natural fields overwhelm and destroy the artificial ones. Rachel leaned forward, her mind racing with possibilities. Can you make something to help them focus this power? Thomas smiled and opened a drawer. He pulled out what looked like a simple metal headband. Already did. We call it a storm crown. It helps Stormcallers direct their quantum fields. With these, even weaker Stormcallers can contribute to the group effect. In the training room, Jack and his team tried on the new storm crowns. The devices lit up with soft blue light as they activated. Ready for another test? Emma asked them. Jack nodded. This time, they faced a complete Dominion control panel, taken from a crashed ship. As they focused together, their storm crowns glowed brighter. The air seemed to crackle with energy. The Dominion panel resisted at first. Then cracks appeared in its surface. Finally, with a sound like breaking glass, it shattered completely. Send this data to all bunkers, Rachel ordered. Start mass-producing the storm crowns, and get me every Stormcaller we can find. It's time to take this from defense to attack. David Wells rushed in with more news. Commander, we're getting reports from around the world. Other bases are seeing the same thing. When stormcallers work together, they're not just blocking Dominion tech, they're destroying it. Thomas watched as Jack's team celebrated their success. The Dominion thought they could guide our evolution. Instead, they forced us to evolve faster than ever. We're becoming what they feared. Rachel started marking points on her map. How many stormcallers working together would it take to bring down a Dominion ship? Based on these readings, Thomas checked his data. Maybe 50, working in perfect sync. With the storm crowns to help them focus, even fewer. And we have over 1,000 trained stormcallers now, Rachel said, with more discovering their abilities every day. Frank looked at the map. The Dominion thinks we're still hiding, just trying to survive. They don't know what we've become. In the training room, Jack's team was already preparing for another test. Their storm crowns glowed brighter as they worked together, their power growing stronger with each success. They came to guide our evolution, Thomas said, watching them. But instead, they created their own worst nightmare. They created the storm. Rachel stood straight, looking more hopeful than she had in months. Send word to all resistance cells. The time for hiding is over. Now we show the Dominion exactly what humanity can do when pushed too far. Above them, the Dominion still patrolled Earth's surface, unaware that deep underground, humanity had discovered not just how to survive, but how to fight back. The storm was ready to break, and not even the Dominion could control what they had helped create. Operation Thunderhead began at dawn. Rachel Hayes stood in the command center of the Rocky Mountain bunker, watching dozens of screens showing resistance forces around the world. Everything they had learned, everything they had built underground, was about to be tested. All stormcaller teams report ready, Frank Morris announced. 50 teams, 20 callers each, all equipped with storm crowns. Show me Team Alpha, Rachel ordered. The main screen showed Jack Rogers and his team, hiding in the ruins of Denver. Their storm crowns glowed softly in the early morning light. Above them, a massive Dominion ship floated, unaware of the threat below. Remember, Thomas spoke through the radio to all teams. Focus together. Let your quantum fields sync up. The storm crowns will help, but your power comes from working as one. Emma Carter monitored the readings from her station. Team Alpha's field strength is rising. All members in sync. Rachel took a deep breath. All teams, Operation Thunderhead is go. I repeat, Thunderhead is go. Around the world, stormcaller teams emerged from hiding. In Denver, Jack's team moved into position beneath the Dominion ship. Now, Jack commanded. His team raised their hands, storm crowns blazing with blue light. The air crackled as their combined quantum field shot upward. The Dominion ship's shields flickered. Then cracks appeared in its silver surface. The ship tried to power up its weapons, but nothing worked. It's weakening, Jack called out. Push harder. Their combined power struck again. This time, the ship's hull began to break apart. Its quantum field collapsed under the assault of natural human energy. Denver team reports success. Frank announced, first Dominion ship down. Similar reports began flooding in from around the world. In London, Paris, Tokyo, Sydney, stormcaller teams struck at Dominion ships and bases. The aliens' unstoppable technology began to fail against humanity's combined power. In the command center, Laura Bennett rushed in with new readings. The effect is spreading. When one team destroys Dominion tech, it weakens all nearby Dominion systems. They're creating gaps in the aliens' control. Thomas watched the data pour in. Their quantum network is falling apart. Each victory makes us stronger and them weaker. The Dominion finally realized what was happening. Their ships began to move, trying to escape the attacks. But humanity had planned for this. Secondary teams, move in, Rachel ordered. As Dominion ships fled from one stormcaller team, they flew right into range of another. Jack's team had already moved to their second target. This time, they'd brought down a Dominion ground base. As it collapsed, they saw something unexpected. The alien soldiers, the ones the Dominion had enslaved from other worlds, weren't fighting back. Some were even cheering. "Commander Hayes," Jack called in. "The other aliens, they're surrendering. They're saying they want to help us." Rachel smiled. "Of course. The Dominion controlled them the same way they tried to control our technology. As we break their quantum network, we're freeing everyone they enslaved." Thomas finished. More reports flooded in. Around the world, Dominion forces were falling. Their enslaved armies were turning against them. Every destroyed ship, every broken quantum field, made their whole network weaker. In what remained of New York, a massive Dominion command ship tried to escape into space. But 5 storm caller teams surrounded it, their combined power reaching up like blue lightning. "The command ship is down," Frank reported. "Dominion forces are retreating worldwide." Rachel watched the screens as humanity's hidden power was finally unleashed. The Dominion had spent thousands of years building their empire on artificial quantum fields. Now they faced a species whose minds naturally created those same fields, but stronger. "Send word to all teams," Rachel ordered. "Full advance. Take back our cities. Free anyone the Dominion enslaved. Show them what happens when you push humanity too far." Jack's team stood in Denver's streets, watching Dominion ships flee into space. Their storm crowns still glowed with power, but now they smiled too. After months of hiding, after learning and growing stronger in the darkness, humanity had risen again. "The storm is here," Thomas said quietly, watching the screens. "And it's more powerful than even we expected." Above them, the sky was clearing of Dominion ships. Earth's long night was ending. But for the Dominion, the storm was just beginning to break across their empire. They had tried to force humanity to evolve. Now they would face what they had created. 1 month after Operation Thunderhead, Earth looked different. The ruined cities were coming back to life. Where Dominion ships once patrolled, human vessels now flew, protected by stormcaller teams. Rachel Hayes stood on top of the rebuilt Sentinel-7, watching Earth spin below. The station hummed with power, strengthened by the quantum fields of its storm-caller crew. "Final report from Ground Command," Frank Morris said, handing her a tablet. "The last Dominion forces have left Earth's solar system. We're free." But freedom wasn't enough anymore. Reports kept coming in from the alien races the Dominion had enslaved. They wanted help. They wanted to learn what humanity had discovered. In the main lab of Sentinel-7, Thomas Hayes worked with Emma Carter and representatives from 7 different alien species. The aliens watched in wonder as Jack Rogers demonstrated his storm-caller abilities. "Your natural quantum fields," a tall 4-armed alien said, "they're exactly what we needed to break free. The Dominion controlled us through their artificial fields for thousands of years." Thomas nodded. "That's why they attacked Earth so quickly. They saw what we could become. They saw we could free everyone." "Commander Hayes," Laura Bennett's voice came urgently through the station speakers. "Long-range sensors are picking up something big. The Dominion is gathering their remaining forces." Rachel rushed to the command center. On the main screen, she saw hundreds of Dominion ships forming up near Mars. It was their last attempt to stop what was happening. "They're desperate," Frank said. "We're not just fighting them on Earth anymore. Every world they controlled is rising up, learning to use their own natural quantum fields." Rachel straightened her uniform. "Send the call. It's time to end this." Around Earth, storm-caller teams gathered. But this time, they weren't alone. Ships from a dozen freed alien worlds joined them, each carrying their own newly trained quantum field users. "All teams report ready," Frank announced. "Earth forces and alien allies in position." Thomas's voice came through the radio. "Remember, we're stronger together. Every species has its own natural quantum field. Working together, we'll be stronger than the Dominion ever was." The Dominion fleet approached. Their ships still looked powerful, still gleamed like liquid silver. But now humanity knew the truth. All that power was artificial, made to control, not to grow. All teams, execute final protocol, Rachel ordered. Operation Storm's End is go. Jack Rogers led the first wave. His team's storm crowns glowed brighter than ever as they joined their power with alien allies. The air itself seemed to ripple as natural quantum fields from a dozen species combined. The Dominion's artificial quantum network didn't stand a chance. Their ships began breaking apart. Their technology failed. The mighty empire that had controlled the galaxy through fear and artificial power crumbled before the combined natural strength of those they had tried to enslave. "They're retreating," Frank called out. Long-range sensors show their remaining ships jumping to deep space. Rachel watched them flee. "Should we follow?" "No need," Thomas said, looking at his readings. "Their network is completely destroyed. Every world they controlled is free now. They'll never be able to build another empire like this again." In the days that followed, Earth became something new, a beacon of freedom. Ships from hundreds of worlds came to learn what humanity had discovered. The Stormcaller training centers welcomed students of all species. 1 month after the final battle, Rachel stood with Thomas in the station's observation room. Below them, Earth was healing. Cities glowed with power again. Green parks were spreading through the ruins. Ships from a dozen worlds came and went freely. "Hard to believe it's been less than a year," Rachel said. "Since they first arrived." Thomas nodded. "They came to guide our evolution, to control us like they controlled everyone else. Instead, they made us stronger," Rachel finished. "They forced us to discover what we really are." "Not just us anymore," Thomas added, watching an alien ship dock with the station. "More students coming to learn about natural quantum fields. They wanted to guide evolution. But real evolution can't be controlled. It has to be free." Jack Rogers and his team were waiting to greet the new arrivals. Their storm crowns glowed softly, now symbols of liberation instead of weapons of war. The Dominion had tried to control the storm of evolution. Instead, they had set it free. Now that storm would spread across the galaxy, teaching others to find their own power, their own path. Humanity had not just survived. They had become exactly what the Dominion feared, a force for true evolution, for freedom, for growth without control. The storm had passed, but its thunder would echo forever.